So welcome everyone to So What Were You Wearing? And our guest tonight is Julie Coyle. She's here with us and I am so excited to hear her story. And just before we got on the air, she was telling me a little something. So I'm going to encourage her to continue with her comment of the glamour puss. So Julie, tell me.
Of course. Well, so the story, your question is, so what were you wearing?
Right.
I've always loved fashion and I've always been like really pretty much of a glamour puss. I met my love on a sailboat and I was wearing like black leggings and a tank top and like a sailing jacket and tennis shoes. So nothing glamorous about it at all. But I mean, it was like
That
a
could be pretty sexy, I think, or, glamorous in a
I mean,
way.
it was appropriate for the
Right.
setting. But
Sure.
so I chartered a boat. I had taken sailing lessons, and so I graduated, and I was able to take a boat out on my own. But my friends wanted to go out for Fleet Week here in San Francisco, which is a very, very busy time on the bay. Everybody who has a boat, everyone who's ever even thought about a boat, is out there. And so my friends wanted to go out and I was like, oh boy, my first time out, I don't think I want to go on my own. So
Mhm.
through my sailing club, I chartered a boat and I said, I'd like to, I'd like to hire a captain and then all like study under them so they can be there as a safety net and
Mhm.
I'll still sail the boat, but they'll be there. And so they assigned a rod to me and
No. Seriously? He was your captain?
he was my captain and I met him and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy is amazing." And um my girlfriend who, asked me to charter the boat, she's like, nudging me, "Julie, this guy's great." And I was like, "I know, he's really great." And so we went out for the day and it was during Fleet Week. So the Blue Angels were
Mhm.
flying and, all these
Oh,
boats were out
wow.
on San Francisco Bay, October 13th, 2019. It was
That wasn't
that's
that
like
long ago. Yeah.
not that long ago. It was one of, that's always one of the busiest times on the bay. I mean, it's like
Mhm.
it's it's just such a beautiful day because they have old aircraft that fly kind of initially, and then the Blue Angels show comes on and they
Right.
buzz the Golden Gate Bridge and I mean, it's like this really spectacular air show.
Mhm.
And as I learned, you know, that day, Rod's also a pilot. So he's a
Yeah.
pilot, he's a Coast Guard captain, and he's a really proficient um, seaman. And so, we spent the day out there and he had his camera and we were taking pictures and stuff. And so we came back that night and,
Wow.
he emailed me the pictures and then I wrote him back. And then it was kind of like the conversation dropped off. And I was so disappointed. I thought, oh, I guess he's not interested. And, so
Mhm.
nothing really
Mhm.
happened. And so that was October. And
Mhm.
then
How did you feel then? Was your heart kind of like going, hmm?
I
Or-
was really sad because I hadn't met anyone that I felt that connected to, for a
Sure.
while. And I thought, oh, I don't know, I couldn't tell how old he was.
Right.
Neither of us could tell how old the other one was. We both thought
Mhm.
the other one was younger. And so,
So maybe he was hesitant to reach out to you. Is that what it was, do you think?
what it was really was that he was still recovering from a breakup that was almost a year before that. But he said
Mhm.
he really goes by his heart, and
Mhm.
his heart wasn't ready to
Yeah.
open up to someone else yet.
Right.
And so in the meantime, I was I was like I had enrolled in this dating thing called It's Just Lunch. I don't know if you
Yes,
heard about
I've
that.
heard of it. Yes, I have.
And I
And what did
also,
you think? What
well,
did you like it?
I think that the quality of men that they introduced me to was really top notch.
Mhm.
They weren't necessarily love matches, but they were good people and
Mhm.
not flaky, and they were all like interested in having a relationship. So in the meantime, so the thing with Rod happened, then I thought, okay, he's not interested. Then I met someone through It's Just Lunch who I ended up dating for a couple months. And then
Mhm.
we ended that. And the very next day, Rod emailed me. This was in January. And he said, you know what? I've been thinking about you. I'd really like to get to know you better. Will you come to this sailing night? And so I
Were
was
you
like,
surprised? I mean, when that
I
happened,
was
what happened?
delighted. I was surprised and delighted. I was
Mhm.
just like thrilled because, he'd always stayed in my mind. And
Mhm.
so I went to this sailing night.
Right.
And then shortly thereafter, he's a musician. And so he
Mhm.
led a like a ukulele sea shanty sing along thing at our sailing club. And I went to that. And it was
Mhm.
just kind of like as friends, I kind of showed up at these different things and we got to get, like know each other a little bit. And then
Mhm.
he said, do you want to go out? Do you want to go and just like the two of us go out? And I was like, yes, I would love that. So our first actual date was Mar-
Wow.
March 1st last year. So March 1st, 2020, right before the pandemic. So
Oh,
it's so
goodness.
funny because, we got a chance to um, do a few things kind of with, out in the public with sailing and then the ukulele thing. And then he's in a band. And so I went to see his band play. But shortly thereafter, everything sort of closed down because of the
Oh.
pandemic. And we had our first date. And then we had, we started seeing each other a couple times a week. And
Mhm.
shortly thereafter, I mean, we really became close and started seeing each other on a regular basis. And so it's been almost a year, and it's both
Beautiful.
of us say, you know, we're the love of our lives. I mean, it's like to find this, he's a year younger than me. So he's 64, I'm 65. Um, to find this at this point in our lives where we're so enamored and we feel like two peas in a pod and we're
Mhm.
compatible really in every way in a really mature way is
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
like such a it's like I feel so lucky. I just
What
feel
a
so
gift.
blessed.
Yeah, what a gift. Absolutely. And to have just met him while you were following your heart, wanting to do sailing, and all of a
Sailing,
sudden, just right there, just in that moment. And I
yeah,
just, it
I,
must,
I feel like I struggled for so long to um how is it going to happen? How am I going to meet someone? And I
right?
even kind of felt like I was forcing it with joining that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
dating club. And my friend always said, just do what you love. Do what you love, and they're going to be in that same environment. And,
Mm-hmm.
we both have sailing in common, music, because I play piano and he plays piano and guitar and ukulele.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we just have so much in common in so many ways.
Wow. So that is just gorgeous. Is
It sure is. I feel really lucky.
that is just so sweet. It's as if he's right there with you now. So that's beautiful. No, it's just so beautiful to hear. And just hearing that story of following your heart, following what you love to do, you know, getting a captain. What a brilliant idea. I don't know that much about sailing, but let me get a captain. And it really, it brings, yeah, it's just so beautiful. The captain of my ship. And that how this, evolved from that. And I think our listeners can kind of gain hope from that, if they too are looking for the love of their life, that, it's to follow those intuitions, those instincts, those desires
Oh, I
that
believe
they
that 100%. I mean,
have.
if you're into, drawing and you go to drawing class, or you're into, you know, history and you go to some seminars, it's like you're going to find people who have the similar interests. And that to me, like that's where we really connect because we love music, we love sailing. There's other things, we love hiking and, doing different things, but I, it's so nice to find someone that really shares a lot of common interests. And so it makes sense that you would meet that kind of person in a
Mhm.
arena where you're following what you're really interested in.
Mhm.
To
And
me,
then one day you just look up and it's like, there they are out of the blue when you
out of
least
the blue.
expect it, and you're wearing black leggings and a jacket.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I wish I was wearing something a little more fancy, but I wasn't.
No, but that's, isn't that the way it is though? That's the perfect thing as far
It,
as just being, yeah, who we are.
no, it really is. I mean, and he's a very down to earth person. He's not a someone, he appreciates fashion, but he's not a someone who would be impressed or influenced by that at all. And it's
Mhm.
funny because one of the things, to be perfectly honest, that I've really realized is that a lot of the time I feel like I was looking for things that might have been a little bit more glamorous or superficial.
Mhm.
And to find someone who's so really down to earth and has really solid values, because to me, values is what really connects us. It's like you
Beautiful.
have
Mhm.
values of integrity and honesty and family and
Mhm.
things that really matter to you. Oh,
Mhm.
fashion or stylishness or what kind of car they drive or anything like that, who cares? I mean, then none of that matters if you have that connection of, like your core values, like what matters to you, and for
Mhm.
me, honesty, integrity, generosity, kindness, things that
Mhm.
are
They're elemental to our the day-to-day living,
oh
right?
yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's so
Yep.
important.
I feel like a lot of times in relationship, we try to bend ourselves into this, like we try to fit into some other form to meet who that
Mhm.
person is.
Yes.
And then sometimes we sacrifice some of the things that really matter to us.
Mhm.
And when you find someone that you really like sync with, that doesn't happen. It's like
Mhm.
it's kind of like a fish in water.
Right. It feels just as natural as
It's really
breathing.
natural. It's not
Yeah,
as breathing.
natural as breathing. No, and then you don't have to, remove parts of yourself, right? It's almost like an embracing of all of you, both of you are embracing the other, is what it sounds like.
And yeah, and enhancing kind of who you each are, it's like
Mhm. Mhm.
that's really how I feel. I mean, so I feel like, especially with music, he's such a more like, seasoned musician than I am, that
Mhm.
he brings a lot more to me than I do to him, in terms of like he teaches me and I feel like I'm the student.
Mhm.
Um, I'm sure that there's things that I teach him.
I'm sure there is too. That's what I was going to say. I'm sure it's that the back and forth, and that I'm sure there's so much that you teach him too. I mean, was it always pretty smooth for the two of you, or did you run into any, little bumps along the road that
No,
were,
it's been really smooth. I mean, I'm just going to be super candid. The
sure,
only the only bumps I think have been caused by me and my,
her own stuff? Yeah.
you know, yeah, jealousy or insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's been the only times we've had, like maybe two times we sort of butted heads, and
Yeah.
both times it was me being like not really trusting
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who he was
Right.
in a relationship. And I think that comes from my past of being with people who weren't necessarily trustworthy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
Yeah.
um,
So a
yeah,
little echo from the past kind of a
yeah,
thing.
yeah, not a good way. So,
Hmm. What
um,
would you advise people just as they listen to you, and for them, in case they run into something like that, what kind of wisdom would you share with them so that they can, navigate around it, kind of a thing?
I think that's a really good question. I mean, what I realized that it was all coming from within me. It was nothing that he was doing, and if I just trusted in his, like, consistency and how he
Mhm.
shows up,
Yeah.
that I realized that, there I had no reason to doubt him or question,
Mhm.
that that was all my own, like, mischief making in my own mind. So I would say try to avoid those maybe patterns from the past and really
Mhm.
trust your partner. I mean, give them every opportunity to show that they are going to stand up and be who they are,
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
not be waiting for some time where they're going to let you down.
Mhm. Yeah, kind of exactly. No, that's very sound advice. Absolutely. And sometimes there is that, the baggage from the past or whatever, the call it what you will, the little handbag, but just things that echo again, but that aren't relevant anymore. And to recognize that is what I'm hearing you say, is to
It's really
recognize.
true. I mean, it's pretty much not fair to put that on a
Hmm.
person who had nothing to do with that other situation.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I
No, it's great.
realize that.
And to be able to see that is to recognize that, because it takes a certain amount of emotional intelligence and willingness.
Well, and to realize it's really your own stuff,
Yeah.
and it's not theirs at all. I mean, it's like it's really your own stuff to deal with in that situation. And
Yeah,
um,
we've
for
all
me,
been
I was
there.
just like, I really don't want to mess this up. I don't want to cause, you know, friction or cause him to feel like, oh, I have to walk on eggshells or anything. So I was like, okay. He brought it. I had a reaction to something he said, and he brought it up, and I said, okay, that will not happen again, and it hasn't. So that's
Mhm.
my under my own control.
That's beautiful. So yeah, I'm hearing the communication is like super cool. Yeah, to be able to communicate like that and to be transparent with each other is so helpful, to really say how you feel about things.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna have a life partner who, I mean, you never know what life's gonna throw at you, and you
Mhm.
want to be able to, be open and communicative and really give that person their space to deal with stuff, but also, have your own. I think you have to be authentic and just honest and, you know, um,
Mhm.
and there's really nothing else you can do. I mean, if you're doing the best you can do,
Mhm.
time,
And being true to
right,
yourself, being authentic, being honest, yeah, and listening to your heart too.
yeah, and
Yeah.
also, honoring that person and respecting them and um, having that be a two-way communication. I don't know what else
Mhm.
you can do. I mean, it feels like that's kind of the best you can do.
Mhm. That's beautiful. No, it's so wonderful, because you got into this beautiful relationship at a really spectacular time of your life. And
Mm.
then to be able to, relax into it is, rather than, to just be able to enjoy it
I
is.
mean, Valentine's Day yesterday, you know, we've been watching this show on Netflix called Blown Away about glass blowing, and
Oh,
people are in this competition of glass blowing. So he got me a certificate for us to go do glass blowing together. It's like so sweet. And,
wow.
just we spent the day building my closet in my bedroom because he built me a shoe rack. And I mean, it's like he's such a good partner. And um, I think that when everything else falls away, you can be kind of caught up by the glitz or the glamour of people. But when it comes down to, like doing a project together or going on a trip together or something where you really see who that other person is,
Mm,
that's when you know that you've got someone that you really, kind of groove with.
totally. So when did you know? Like you just said, that's when you know. Was there a certain moment that happened, or did it happen over time, or
Hmm.
did all of a sudden you look over 6 months in and go, oh my God, you know, he's the
A
one.
couple times, when before we even had our first date, when we went sailing together, I
Yeah.
looked at him and he was looking at me with this look of just this smitten,
Really? Oh my gosh.
like,
What does a smitten look like?
oh my gosh. It was just the most innocent, sweet
Oh,
look.
like
And
like sweet appreciation is what I'm imagining. Is
yeah,
that
like just loving, just really
oh,
loving. And then on our
beautiful.
first date, we went to he came over and, I love to cook, so I had already bought food. I was like, "He's coming over, I'm gonna offer to make dinner." He's like, "No, let me take you out." So I said, "Well, do you like divey Mexican restaurants? Because that's, like, let's go to Casa Mañana. We're gonna go have this divey Mexican food." We're sitting there talking, and that's really when I kinda started to fall for him because I he talked a lot about his family and his
Mhm.
mother and what an influence she'd been. And kind of, I know one thing he said was, my mom always said to find someone with a big heart. And
Beautiful.
I mean, I will admit I have a big heart, and I think he saw that. And uh,
Wow.
that was just like a special moment. I think that kind of started it. And I think both of us felt pretty much early on like we found something really special.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I mean, like really, like I sense a gentleness and a just being super aware of it's like this special something that was happening. That's beautiful.
I would say gentle is a really good word for him. He's not the least bit pretentious or I mean he's very, very down to earth and he values that and it's brought me more down to earth. I mean I'm I think basically a down to earth person, but I can also get a little bit caught up in,
Mhm.
like I said, glamour and glitz. So
Glam, yeah.
so it's nice
Yeah.
to just
So
go,
you
"Okay."
complement each other. That's
We're both earth signs. He's Virgo, I'm Taurus. So
oh
it's,
fun.
we're both kind of grounded and
Mhm.
but we're both adventurous and we
Mhm.
really longed to travel. I mean, last year, even with the pandemic, we traveled to the Grand Canyon and Sedona and we spent a week up in the San Juan Islands. We chartered a boat up there and
Oh,
um, we went to, Colorado and
oh my
Carmel. So,
goodness.
we got out just the two of us to do some things, but hopefully,
Fantastic. In the
yeah.
pandemic, I mean, that's pretty remarkable what you did do. That's
Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
we were really responsible about it. We were, other than flying, which is probably the most,
Right.
like, I don't know, risky thing we did. We were just the two of us in a rental car, like at the Grand Canyon, hiking the rim, which I never, I, the Grand Canyon was amazing. Yeah,
Sounds so magical, Julie.
thing.
Just so magical. Yeah.
It really is. I mean, I feel like I should pinch myself every morning.
Wow. No, it's just really, really what a beautiful, beautiful story. And a beautiful life that's unfolding is what it, you know, it's like a flower unfolding is what it feels, it's kind of like the blossoming, right, of the relationship.
I think so. And Heidi, one of the things that's been different with Rod than other men is
Yeah.
that right from the get-go, he let me know that he was 100% in. He's like,
Mm.
"You're the girl of my dreams." He made me this little like fake CD thing that says, "You're the girl of my dreams." And he's
Sweet.
been it
Mhm.
took away a lot of the doubt or the
Mhm.
worry that I think women often have with men where they're, like, "Oh, yeah." will you love me tomorrow? It's kind
Mhm.
of one of those things. And to have a partner who you don't have to feel like, they're going to disappear
Mhm.
on a whim, or they're going to meet someone else, or it's like
Right.
that. Honestly, that's been hard for me to assimilate. I feel like I've been waiting for something to happen, like the other shoe to drop in a way.
Right. No,
All my
understandable.
own stuff, all my own
Mhm.
stuff. But
Mhm.
um I haven't had someone who was as dedicated and mature as he is.
It's beautiful. And rock solid is what I hear.
Yeah,
Just,
for
yeah.
sure. Very rock
Mhm.
solid.
My goodness. No, it's really, isn't that interesting too? Just what you just said, when we're given the gift, how, you know, just navigating the gift when things are so beautiful or
Oh
things are
yeah, I
so
mean, there's lots of
difficult.
ways we can sabotage it from our like our own bad experiences in the past, or you
Mm.
know, uh,
Or
I would say that's
skepticism or, right? Any number of
yeah,
things. Yeah. All those little demons that run around.
totally. But I think it takes some discipline to really try to put all that out of your mind and look at it for who he is and what it is
Mm-hmm.
in its own unique way. Because otherwise, you'd kind of be bringing, I don't know, bringing some things into it that don't belong there.
Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely. And missing what is there,
Yeah.
at the same time. So no, that's just such great advice, great insight to share with people so that they can. I mean, I feel like it's just you and me here, and we have our audience who is going to be listening, but it's, just really how profound that is. And to be reflecting, as you're in a relationship, to be reflecting and to be seeing and feeling and really being true to yourself and true to the circumstances. So that is just a wonderful, wonderful advice for people.
And
Yeah.
kind of giving that your partner like a clean slate, because
Mhm.
to um, why should they have to atone for the past sins of other
This is good advice for me.
bad
Thank you,
actors?
Julie.
But it's true, because you can't help but bring those
Seriously.
experiences into your
Right.
present experience. So you that like for me, so I mean, I'm a budding musician. I'm not a great musician, but I've been writing a song for Rod, and it's the song is called That Beautiful Heart, because it's like he's got such a beautiful heart. And um, you know, it can't be diminished by other people I've been with that disappointed me, or had, weren't nice to me, or,
Mm-hmm.
situations that didn't work out. You've got now you've got like this, like it should be almost like a completely brand new, situation where you're able to, just start over. And
Mm-hmm.
at whatever age,
In the here and now.
we're here now.
In the here and now. You're here and it's now.
That's
Right
right.
here. Absolutely. And it's
Oh, I'll tell you, I searched high and low for years. I
did
have a
you?
very dear friend who's a psychic. She helped me a lot. It was like
Yeah.
always, how is this going to happen? How is this going to happen? And then
Right.
the most unexpected way in time, it just did happen.
That's something. Yeah. When you least expected it, right? I
Yeah.
mean, who would have thought, right? Who would have thought the ship captain that you were going to hire? Right. So that you could go sailing. I mean, it is so poetic. Just, I mean, oh, it really is for me, because I'm all about romance. It's romance, romantic and poetic. And just, I mean, if it's just so, I mean, just so real and so real, and here you're doing all this searching high and low and then just one day and I would have loved to have been there. I'm imagining that you're climbing on the boat or however going up the plank or whatever, and then I'm just so, it's like I want to know the moment of when you first actually saw him and looked into his eyes. It's like I
Yeah.
can
Oh,
imagine
I'll tell you. So that
how.
moment was so the sailing club, I went to register because I had to sign in all my guests.
Mhm.
And I went to the front desk, and this was before COVID, so there was none of the masks or anything. So
Right.
I'm writing things down, and Rod walked in, and they're like, "Okay, this is Rod. He's your captain." And I just remember looking at him and going, "Thank you, God." I was like, "Ooh," but I thought, "Oh no." And then
So
just
funny.
I was immediately attracted, but then after that, the more that he spoke and I got to know kind of who he was, that added everything to it. But no,
Mm.
I'll never forget that. I mean, I just totally remember like just seeing him, and I had forgotten something on the boat. I'd already been down to the boat, so then I had to run back down to the boat with the key and futz around
Mhm.
with that. And I came back, and then my friends showed up, and so there was a little logistical stuff. But
Yeah,
oh,
but that moment
uh,
was there right at the desk and he walks in and they introduce you or something like that.
it
Is that
was for me. I should ask him. I don't know, if that was for him. It was for me.
absolutely? Well, it was the first time you laid eyes on him,
Yeah.
I imagine.
I think
It
there's a
was.
lot to be said about like a real like animal magnetism, right? It's kind of
Mhm, mhm.
chemical attraction or just I don't know, like
Some sort of chemistry maybe or
a
some sort of,
sense. Yeah,
yeah.
like some kind of sense of like, because
Mhm.
you do meet people where there's none of that.
Right,
And yeah, in this case, it was like, hmm, you know,
right. I
yeah.
know. Exactly, you just kind of have a sense. And it's just that quickly. It's like Malcolm Gladwell and his book Blink, right? It's just that,
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like that. And yeah, and then you see what the reality is
that
and you
little
saw
split
the
second.
yeah, in that split second of just that moment. That's beautiful. Oh my goodness, this was so enchanting for me. And so,
Oh, good. So,
no,
hey, who's like, are your listeners
mhm,
tuning in to, are they interested in people's love stories, or how
yes.
do they find love, or is it a,
Well, the thing, yeah, as far as it's really our audience is those who are looking for love and
mm,
maybe haven't been able to find it, have been seeking, have just really been on the path, right? The journey of it. And so this is really to share stories of those who have, had experiences like yours and
mm,
all kinds of stories. So, I hope to interview men, all genders, everything, so that everybody can share their story of what happened, of how it happened. And like hearing your story of how you'd been looking, you went to a psychic, you joined It's Just Lunch, doing everything possible. And that's the thing, everything humanly possible, right? You're putting your effort and your energy and everything into it. And so, and yet when it happened, it was a surprise, right? And so this is super helpful for people that are watching, who are kind of going, wow, you know, but also looking for love. So that's the intended audience. Now, who knows, right? Audience, who knows who will be watching us?
well,
Because really
I
can be
feel
anyone.
like part of my whole process was letting the universe know that I was really serious. I mean, that's part of why I joined It's Just Lunch. I was like, because it's not cheap. It was like 6 grand or something for a year.
Right. No,
It was not cheap.
that's what I
So I
think.
thought, okay, I'm gonna like put it out there that I'm serious about meeting someone. And
Mhm,
though I didn't meet someone through that program, I
mhm,
think that it sort of, in a way, set the wheels in motion because, you've got to be really intentional. And I think if
mhm.
you really, people can really want it and they can try to do all these things, but I think you in your heart, you've got to be really like, solid about, and this is what I want.
Right.
And, you know, then you never know where it's going to show up.
Exactly. But you're intentional and you're doing all the intentional things.
Right.
So that's what I hear is taking action. So that's another key.
That's my MO. I mean, I'm like an action taking, list making, make
Move
it
the
happen
agenda
kind
forward.
of person. Not gonna like wait around and hope that someone comes and knocks on my door. I'm gonna be doing something to try to make it happen.
Oh man, that is such great, you know, action oriented advice to take action, make something happen. Don't just sit there and wait for love to knock on your door. So you are out there actively engaging, doing all of this, at all levels and
I
just
think,
knowing, right?
yeah, and I mean, I was really interested in learning to sail. I didn't enroll in sailing to meet someone at
Right.
all. But I
Interesting.
thought,
Yeah.
maybe I'll find someone who also loves to adventure and likes to travel and, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but that wasn't my core like reason for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It turned out it led me to, this wonderful person. So,
Mm-hmm. So
I would,
doing, mm-hmm. Oh, go
I
ahead.
just advise people to follow whether you're in, whatever you're interested in. I think, if you really pursue it and, go, jump in with both feet and really try to enjoy the experience, you're going to find other people there that are, doing the same thing.
Right. Absolutely. And there, yeah, so it makes complete sense to do that. And then you just never know when the sparks will fly or what'll happen next. So, no, but really to just get out there. And you are also doing all those other things, in addition to, you were doing, on different levels, all kinds of,
Oh, yeah.
activities to really tell the universe that you were serious. So,
I did not want to miss out on the
mhm,
part of my life that I knew was available, in partnership. Like, the
mhm,
things that you share when you're with someone, the affection and the companionship and all the fun things, even just going on picnics or driving out to the coast or the different things you do when you're with someone,
mhm,
so much more fun. I mean, you can do those things on your own and you can enjoy them, but for me, I wanted to find someone that I could do those things with. And
mhm.
it showed up in a completely different way than I expected, but
Right.
thank you, God, it showed up.
That's beautiful. Thank you, God, for showing up for Julie. Seriously. Yeah. No, there's a lot to be grateful for. A lot to be grateful for because a lot of things had to come together for that to happen. So
I
that's
just wish my
beautiful.
parents could have met him because he's so old fashioned and so just sweet. And I think, my parents have been gone for 20 years, but uh, my brothers have all met him and I've got 3 brothers and they all like gave him the thumbs up.
Nice.
The
That's
rest of
great. So the family approves.
the
That's
family
good.
approves,
And
friends
you're
approve.
happy and he's happy.
We're all
So
happy, so it's all good.
it's all good. So if we ask you to come back and chat with us maybe a year from now, would you be willing to do so?
Oh, absolutely.
That'd be fantastic. That way we could get the next episode
Sure.
because it's been a year kind of
Oh,
since, a little over a year since you
so
all,
it's been about a year now. So yeah, we could do another year's check-in.
and then we'll check in
Okay.
and see more advice for more things that you've seen and learned. That would be wonderful.
I
This
just
is,
wish that everyone,
yeah.
you know, I hope that everyone who's watching can, follow their own heart and be in a situation where they will meet someone who they just totally connect with and find that joy with.
Mm, thank you, Julie. Yes, that's so beautiful for you to share that with everyone. And absolutely. And it's possible because you've done it. And so,
And I really had my doubts. I really thought I was maybe gonna just be
mhm,
be on my own.
and
And
look
then
at you now.
kind of
So
like out of the blue.
you were what? I'm
It
sorry.
was out of the blue.
Right. Just that the opportunity came. So what I'm hearing from you is keep showing up, keep um, keep the intention, keep moving forward, keep taking action.
Do what you love.
What's do what you love. Thank you. What else did I miss? Or
No,
yeah,
that's it.
okay. Do what you love and look for values. Look at the core values. That's what I really took from what you said as well, that there were those core values that were really in harmony between the two of you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Hmm. Julie, thank you. This
Thanks,
is just
Heidi.
fabulous.
So nice to talk to you.
It's good to talk to you. And so thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you for the next show with So What Were You Wearing? Great. Bye, Julie.
Bye. Bye, Heidi.